So my name is Jason, and I'm a person in long-term recovery. And what that means for me is that I haven't found it necessary to use a minor mood-altering chemical since November 29th of 2011. For that, I am truly grateful. I also identify as a gay man in recovery. And I want to welcome you all to the LGBTQIA+ inclusion in Oxford House. So we were talking before we got started, and this is the 5th year we've had this particular panel. And we're really excited to make sure we continue to keep the conversation going about inclusion, keep the conversation going about our trans brothers and sisters, and also those of the BIPOC community. So what I'm going to read is a description of our panel. So addressing the LGBTQIA+ inclusion in Oxford House is of paramount importance to ensure that every individual feels welcome and supported within the community. The diverse range of gender identities and sexual orientations represented by the LGBTQIA+ community must be respected and celebrated in all aspects of Oxford House operations. To promote inclusivity, it is vital to foster a culture of acceptance and understanding among residents and alumni. This can be achieved through education, open dialogue, and sensitivity training to create a safe environment where LGBTQIA+ individuals can express themselves without fear of discrimination or prejudice. Oxford House leadership and members must actively work to eliminate any biases or barriers that may exist and be attentive to the unique challenges faced by the LGBTQIA+ individuals that are in recovery. Furthermore, collaborations with LGBTQIA+ organizations and advocacy groups can provide valuable insights and resources to enhance inclusivity efforts within Oxford House. Engaging in partnerships with these organizations can facilitate greater understanding and ensure that the voices of the LGBTQIA+ and residents are heard and respected. By embracing a true inclusive approach, Oxford House can foster an environment where all residents, regardless of their gender identity or sexual orientation, can thrive and find support they need in their journey to recovery. I'm joined today by a wonderful panel of experts in the field within Oxford House, as well as in the field of recovery housing. So we're grateful to have Saja Alexandra Ramos, who is a Navy veteran in recovery. In 2019, she co-founded Recovery Organizations Resource, a national nonprofit to advocate for the critical role of recovery housing in communities. She's presented to SAMHSA and alongside congressional leaders in support of recovery services. Currently, she serves on the board of Just Living, an LGBTQIA+ recovery house in Lakewood, Colorado, the Association of Recovery in Higher Education, and works with Discovery Behavioral Health, helping veterans find treatment services around the nation. Saja is passionate about whole personal recovery and seeing the world through other people's eyes. We're also joined by Nathan Truitt Morales, our Senior Outreach Coordinator for Central Arizona. Nathan is an Oxford House alumnus from Kansas, and as a member, he served in the chapter and state levels and helped expand the number of Oxford Houses in Topeka. In 2019, because of his passion and dedication to service, he was offered a job to help build the network of Oxford Houses in the state of Arizona, where there was none. Since moving to Arizona, he's assisted in the great team in adding 52 houses so far across the Central Valley. He co-founded the Arizona Walk for Recovery, and he has spearheaded building the reentry program across the state. All this has been done possible thanks to the mentorship and leadership of those before him. We're also joined by Tayden. Tayden came into Oxford House March of 2023 and was elected House President for Oxford House Mercury, Arizona's second LGBTQIA+ friendly house. After Arizona's first state convention, she got on fire, and Oxford House quickly jumped into service work as a Chapter 1's vice chair. She has a strong passion and drive for helping people in her community and anyone who needs recovery, a chance at recovery. So one thing I want to do is just go through a little bit brief history about Pride and Pride Month. So when most people think about Pride, you think of happy moments, joyous moments, but for those of you in here that may be allies or people that identify as heterosexual or straight, our Pride was not always joyful. It started out as a riot. So one of the things, let me back up, I apologize. What is LGBTQIA+? So the alphabet, or as the alphabet mafia as we call it, lesbian is the L, G is for gay, B is for bisexual, T is for transgender, Q is for queer or questioning, I is for intersex, A is for ally, and the plus is for the premium version. If you ask your local member, they'll give you the full scoop and how you can apply. And just like Netflix, there is a monthly recurring fee. So the first Pride started actually as a riot. And it started really as a coincidence on the night of Judy Garland's funeral. So that has, in gay lingo, that has a little bit of connection. New York City Police Department had been harassing individuals at the Stonewall Inn for many weeks, months prior to that. And the individual at the top right of your screen that you see is Marsha P. Johnson. It is reported that she threw the first brick when they came into Stonewall and started harassing individuals, and that started the riot, which went on for several days. Since then, in June, they've started Pride Month. And Pride Month is celebrated all over the world in many different cities. There's also World Pride that happens during June. Many cities have parades. Many cities have evening events that take place. So when we celebrate Pride, it's really in remembrance of the struggles that we as LGBTQIA+ individuals have had to overcome, the oppression and the discrimination and things that we face on a daily basis. So we should be proud, but it's also important to remember that it was not always like that. So LGBTQIA+ individuals, like many particular groups, face higher rates of substance use disorder. They face higher rates of mental illness. The particular group that is most at challenge for us in the LGBTQIA+ is our trans brothers and sisters. One of the reasons for that is the lack of knowledge on how to treat those individuals and the lack of a willingness to be able to treat those individuals. Now, we as a country are trying to make some progress. We're making progress, but we still have a lot of work to do to really help our trans brothers and sisters find recovery and find those recovery support services and make sure that they feel included. The use of drugs or alcohol, a lot of times for LGBTQIA+, is really to self-medicate, to numb those particular feelings of invalued, being thrown out, pushed aside, not wanted, and treated differently. Co-occurring mental disorders, as I mentioned, and then also, most importantly, is physical and health issues that we as individuals face being exposed to so many different things. One of the good things that has started happening over the last couple of years, I called out about a year ago, there is a particular problem in some of the NSUD, which is the National Substance Use and Drug Survey that goes out, is that the population that they were studying was the LGB, lesbian, gay, and bisexual. There's no transgender individuals, there's no non-binary, there's none of the other alphabets that are captured within the particular survey. I'm going to cover some of the particular numbers. One of the things I think is important as we leave and we go out is, for those of us that identify within the alphabet, it's important for us to take part in surveys. It's important for us to share our path, our information, it's important for us to be counted, because the systems cannot change without us sharing our information. And a lot of the ability for us not sharing comes from fear. And it's just fear. It's just right fear, right? It is substantiated fear because of the way we've been treated. But as we move forward, we have to be able to be at the table to give our voice to be able to make effective change. That is one thing that over the last 5 years I've tried to do with having this particular panel. It's one of the things that I try to do in making sure we have this particular training for our staff every year at our staff training, so that we as individuals and we at Oxford House can make sure we're tooling and giving the individuals that represent and are opening Oxford Houses and training you all the tools and resources to be able to make change and to be better individuals in recovery. So, and I'm not sure if you can, it's clear on there because I had to blow some of the information up, but some of the information in the 2022 survey here really shows some of the differential numbers within gay and bisexual individuals versus straight or heterosexual individuals. And I think it's pretty clear that this particular population, those of the alphabet mafia, and forgive me if I continue to use that, it's easier for me to say, we do face higher rates of substance use disorder. LGBTQIA, yes, LGBTQIA. We do face higher rates of substance use disorder and higher rates of mental illness. And making sure we have safe spaces to go to and are going to be able to be treated is important. And so I want to make sure we provide that information with you so that you're leaving here knowing those particular variants within each particular group, and that we need to really make a change. You're going to probably hear me mention it several times throughout the rest of the weekend, is that we need to participate in surveys that are out there. We need to partake in sharing our information so that change can be heard. As I mentioned earlier, the 2021-2022 only really focused on individuals of the LG and B, but 2023, you heard Dr. Delphin Rittman talk about yesterday, the survey will be released on the 30th of this month. I'm very proud to say that it's going to include questions in regards to being transgender. It's going to include questions in regards to being non-binary. It's going to include questions for your particular orientation and how you identify. So it's something we've been really waiting for, and Saja knows we had a really heated discussion about this with some other individuals within the community. So I'm really, really happy to see this change coming, because it is something that I think is going to make a huge difference in how the federal government sees our population and how they start rolling out particular funds to be able to treat and give treatment support services. One of the other things that I will say is Dr. Gupta talked about this as a 10% set aside that states that is proposed out there. So we're really hoping that that 10% set aside will also be able to have money set inside to be able to treat LGBTQIA+. And I think with this particular survey that's coming out, we'll be able to give numbers so that they'll be able to fund that. One of the other things that I'll end with in this particular photo was taken in 2019, I believe, when I can't see that, it's 2015, thank you, when the Supreme Court ruled in favor of gay marriage and support. I was living in D.C., and it was, of course, the big news, and so everybody ran down to the White House to take pictures and to the Supreme Court. So I try to share this every year because I think it's just such a beautiful picture. But, you know, when I moved into Oxford House, a little bit about me personally, I recognize my privileges. I recognize that I'm a white male, and I don't, at least I don't think so, give off any particular mannerisms that would have me in a category to be judged or pushed aside. I wasn't treated any different than any of my other residents, and I recognize that. And I'm using that particular privilege now to hopefully make a difference in moving forward, in that when individuals move in, when individuals come to our house and when they interview, it doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter what color they are. It doesn't matter what religion they practice. It doesn't matter what pathway they choose. What matters is that they are trying to recover and get clean and sober. And that should be our focus when we're doing our interviews. Are they going to be productive in their recovery and conducive to the recovery of the house? And so one of the things I think people should really take away from this that are privileged in any situation, being white, wealthy, those types of situations, utilize that privilege as you walk out this room. Because while it can be damaging to something, it can also help those other individuals that don't have that particular privilege. Know your privileges and know how to put them to a strength and utilize to help others. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to our first speaker, and I'm very proud to have her speak to you on her experience. I'm going to give it over to Tayden.
Let me see, I'm nervous, hold on. Lamatalangva, ne simamtian hupimatiwa, no hovepeapkita, no joko piasang nita. My name is the feather on the arrow that split. I'm from the Hopi Reservation. I am trans woman. I am a woman in recovery, and what that means to me is I haven't had a drink since May 6th of 2022. So being in this, you know, the LGBTQIA has been up and down. A lot of things, you know, I've come across in my life. Being a trans woman, I started my transitioning at a young age, probably like 18. I knew what I was. One thing I can say about my parents is my mother was very, very, very respectful for my decision and what I wanted to be. She actually is the one who supported me the most. Your mother always knows, you know. She came up to me when I graduated high school. She waited actually for me to graduate, and she was like, "Baby, is there something you need to tell me?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "I'm your mom. I know things. Like, don't lie to me," you know? And I'm like, "Ah." And so I was like, yes, I told her. And then next thing you know, she was like, "You know, I'm always going to be your mother. You came out of me. When you're feeling some type of way, when you're feeling it, I'm going to feel it." So, you know, I really thank you. I really thank that woman for everything, because she's made me the person who I am today, this very flamboyant, very just respectful person that I've become. You know, every walk of person that I've come across, you know, I'm a Libra, so I'm gonna keep good balance wherever I go. So I'm just gonna make sure that everything is right, you know, like, so I've been to prison, of course, yes. I did the prison time, got out of jail. I just got done with my parole last March. So I'm done. And I was in Texas, you know, they say don't mess with Texas. Exes are in Texas. You know, I lived in Dallas, you know, Triple D, baby. That's where I was, and that's where my life began. I got adopted in. I was telling her that I had got, that I got adopted into the Davenport family. It was just an honor, you know, like to come from a background of legends and being this person of the LGBTQIA family, you know, like I'm just grateful for where I've come, where I'm at right now. And I really want to say thank you to Oxford House. Like, you know, the family, the unity, everything that I got from here, There's people in the crowd that I know that told me about Oxford House. It's like, oh yeah, you need to go there. And I'm like, and I was there, I got it, like it was like my dream. And it was like, I was like literally, y'all, I'm so nervous. I was over here crying, listening to my church music. I'm still, I still got my higher power involved in everything that I do today. So not to be on no disrespectful thing, but whoever you serve, I'm Native, and my mother always told me there's one God, and that one God is the same as everybody's. We all pray to the same person, so it don't matter what type of person comes to you and tells you what's wrong and what's right. You ain't gotta listen to them. Like do you, and you gonna walk your walk. And one thing I know is my grandma always told me, you're highly favored, baby. You got the blood of Jesus on you. Like don't trip about nothing. So there's a couple things that I want to kind of talk about. One thing is recovery don't have no face for judging. You know what I'm saying? Recovery is all about what you choose and how you do it. My recovery means that I was honest in this program to myself, not nobody else. Like I had to really think deep down to my, sorry, I was gonna say some crazy words, but I can't say that. Deep in my soul, and I had to really be honest with myself. And I did that. I took a whole reality check, and I remember being in prison, and I got in a cell one day, and I just sat on my knees in there, and I prayed, and I told my father, I said, you know what, if I get out of here, I'm gonna do whatever I gotta do. And it's so crazy that my grandma's not here anymore, but that lady, she told me, I'm waiting for you, baby. I'm waiting for you. And when she waited, I got out of jail. The next week, she passed away. So I'm doing this for her today, because when she was in the hospital, she had told me, she's like, what are you gonna do? She kept asking me, what are you gonna do with yourself? What are you gonna do with your life? And I kept telling her, Grandma, I'm gonna change. I'm gonna do right. She was like, all right, baby. She said, promise me that you're gonna do what you're supposed to do. And I did it. And so recovery has no face. It can't tell you who to be or what people want you to be. You just do it. Be honest with yourself. And it's really, if that's really what you want to be, then be it. Like, nobody needs to tell you what you are. Accepting the community in the Oxford House, you know what? This is so awesome to me. Like, shout out to my Mercury family. Hey. Oxford House Mercury, we're the LGBTQ plus inclusive house. Had to get that right. And it's so awesome. Like, I swear that house has shown me so much. Like, I get to pay bills. I get to be, first coming into the house, we just opened the house. I was one of the new members in the house. Jeremy gonna say, here's the book, you're president. I'm like, oh, what am I doing? Like, what's this all, what's a president? Like, oh my gosh, I couldn't even believe it. And, I started doing what I needed to do, and I had the greatest people with me, behind me, and still with me today. And we're doing our best thing today. They're probably watching. I sent them the link. They're so happy. They've been texting me, girl, you're gonna be famous. I'm like, calm down now. Also, educating yourself with the alphabet. Like, everybody needs to understand that we are human. We're all human. We're aliens, or whatever you want to call it. But we're the only thing that makes us different is our features, who we are, our personalities. But in real reality, we're the same. If we were all, if there was so much that needed for us to be the like, we would be in so much chaos right now. You know what I'm saying? Everybody will want to. I like being different. I don't want to be like the next person. I want to have my own shine. I want to be able to be in a program for my own things. And the LGBT, we've come a long way. Like, literally, like, we've did this. The stones, what do they say? Sticks and stones can't break my bones, baby. We got rocks thrown at us. We've been through so much. And I'm so proud that I get to be up here today to speak amongst my community and be an asset to this and just be an advocate for what's going to be near to the future. And especially people that are growing up today. Like, people always try to put this, like, negativity into younger kids is reality when it's not even like that. Like, just let everybody be what they're going to be. Nobody makes their choices at a young age. They shouldn't even be choosing that. We should show them love, unity, family. That's what I want to bring back. let's see what else. Understanding and relating not to sexual orientation but to recovery. What that means to me is that just because I'm trans doesn't mean that my sexual orientation should be brought up. That's what people label as me as, because I'm I'm supposed to be having sex all the time. No, it's not about that. My recovery is based on me being sober, me being clean, me having a sober date, me wanting to live a free life of any toxic things in my life right now. You know, like I stopped smoking cigarettes. I put anything that's in my body that's altering my mind right now, I've totally stopped it. And my mind has gotten to a better, stable position where I can actually think better, you know, make right choices, listen to people. You know, before I was a snappy girl. You come to me with some wrong words, baby, I was gonna give it to you like a lighter. You hear? Shoo. Don't play with me. Let's see what else. Yeah, so, like, I just want you guys to understand, like, you know, let's, as a community, let's not base our sexualities on recovery. We need to be here to uplift people, make sure that we get these people into recovery where we can make them change their life for the better and be something great with themselves. You know, like I'm so honored to sit amongst you guys right now and be just this person, and just seeing so many people here today lets me know that, you know, my voice is gonna be heard. And, you know, even though one person can get something, maybe all of you guys can get something, maybe you can take something back from here. And, you know, there's communities out there that need help, blessings right now. You know, just give back what you're supposed to, one day at a time. That's what recovery is. And I have a quote that I want to end with. It's from Bob Marley. You know, I love Bob Marley. His quote is, "Live the life that you love and love the life that you live." You know what I'm saying? Like, just do you. That's what that means. Like, don't worry about what other people can think of you. If you are a part of the LGBTQ family, be a part of it, represent it, go above and beyond. You know, let's make a difference today. They already showing us how to be at the White House. Let's go farther. Let's go around the world where other people are being, you know, put down for what they really believe in. Let's do this. Let's be a great community and uplift one another and just be great at what we're gonna do. But Asqueli, thank you guys for listening to me, and I really appreciate it, and I love you, and thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Tayden. And now I have the privilege of introducing our other speaker, Saja Alexander Ramos.
Good morning, Oxford House family. Do I look short up here? I knew I should have wore heels. There was a lady speaking yesterday, and I was like, I hope I don't look that short up there. So I'm gonna stand on my tippy toes a little bit so I look a little taller. Cameraman, how's it looking over there? Good? Thank you. I know we're streaming live too, so hello to people on our virtual Oxford family. My name is Saja Alexander Ramos. I am a woman in recovery since November 8th of 2014. I want to say thank you so much to Jason for inviting me and the Oxford House team. This is my 5th conference, and I was at the first one as an attendee, and it was so awesome to see the courage, the bravery, and the people who were able to speak up, share their experience, and share their hope. So thank you so much to my Oxford House family. I'm a board member of Just Living Recovery, which is an LGBTQIA Libidiqua, is that what we're calling it? I really like that. Libidiqua, all-inclusive, all-gender recovery house in Lakewood, Colorado. Look us up, like us on Facebook. We're a small organization, and this past year we hired a DEI consultant. It's a diversity, equity, and inclusion consultant to come in into our space and show us how we can be more equitable, how we can be more safe, and how we can support the LGBTQIA community. So I want to share with you some of the points that we learned from doing that deep work by exploring ourselves, exploring our biases, and learning the ways that we can make a place safe for the LGBTQIA community. So seeking safety was one of the biggest things that came out of this DEI work. And at Just Living Recovery, safety is a huge piece for everyone. A lot of the folks that have been coming into the sober house have had multiple treatment experiences, but this is the first time at Just Living Recovery where they included their gender and their sexual identity in their recovery, and it was making a difference in their success. We're seeing more people stay longer in recovery when they include their identity and sexuality. And then for the transgender community, we just had a resident come from Tennessee who was fearing for her life. So the trauma that the transgender community experiences is extremely high. And I don't know about you all, but when we're already coming into early recovery and we're already vulnerable, and then you're fearing for your life, it adds another stressor on top of recovery. So creating that safe environment is a huge priority, and it takes constant monitoring and actions. We hold monthly sessions with the residents about trauma, cultural standards for all the genders. We talk about the dress code. We talk about boundaries. We talk about the ways that, even sometimes our words may be hurtful. Even though everyone in the house supports LGBTQIA, folks and all genders, and we're very inclusive, there are still times when people have used the words you people, the words colored, and real woman. And those kind of words in the setting has been very disturbing for some of the residents. So we've held emergency sessions where we sat the residents down and we've asked them to, in a kind and loving and safe way, show us, teach us, what do you mean when you say this is offensive when I say this? So when I talk about safety, I really mean that it's a constant conversation. It includes everybody, and we want to provide that safe environment for everyone. So I don't know if you guys have seen Jason's little pin. It says, "You are safe with me." Did anyone see that? Come up to Jason and take a picture with him and with his "You are safe with me" pin. It's so beautiful. There's so many different types of safety. There is making sure you lock the door before you leave the house. There's bringing pepper spray maybe to a concert. There's safe sex, right? All of these actions prevent dangerous activity. I'm a Scorpio, so of course I had to talk about sex. But the safety that I'm talking about is the safety that it takes an individual to say, hey, I'm struggling with my identity, or hey, I've never told anyone about this before. It means being present. It means putting yourself aside for a moment. It means lending your nervous system to another person and being a witness to another person's journey. It means creating a nurturing, kind, honest environment with yourself so you can provide that for others. It means dealing with your own issues, taking care of yourself, admitting when you're wrong, having a spiritual connection, being a positive influence, and having self-control. Does this sound like recovery to anybody? It means trusting yourself so others can trust you too. It means knowing your boundaries and respecting your boundaries. I don't know about you all, but I definitely did not come from a perfect home. And living at an Oxford house and being in recovery, it means recreating the chance and recreating a place where you want to live and where you get a chance to be the person and be the safe person for the person who may be questioning or figuring out what part of their journey is like. I know for me, when I got into recovery, I explored my gender. And I shaved my head like Britney Spears in 2008, right? Does anybody remember 2008 Britney Spears? That was rough for her, and I feel really sad that she is going through a divorce right now. Prayers to Britney Spears. But, it's a beautiful thing when we are given the space to explore who we want to be and how we want to show up in the world. Like Tatum said, we need to show these people love, unity, and family. Oxford House does an amazing job of bringing people together from all walks of life and places to expand people's personal views and learn from each other. This morning, I was walking down in the elevator and I heard 2 residents say, "There's just a real understanding of trust with Oxford people." Are those ladies in the crowd right now? Yes, I heard you. And thank you so much for saying that, because I was like, this is exactly what I'm talking about. It's the trust that comes from you guys practicing your recovery. It's the trust that and safety that the Oxford House model brings. So I want to ask you all, are there any safe people in the crowd? Can you raise your hand? Let's give a round of applause. If no one has told you today, I think you're courageous. I think you're awesome. I love you, I see you, and you're safe with me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sasha. You know, one of the things we talked about, and it's been mentioned a couple of times, is regarding language and understanding the alphabet. And one of the things that I stumbled on a couple of years ago, and I've started incorporating in our staff training information, is the Safe Zone Project. They have training modules that you can take, and you can incorporate that any way you want. And so they're online. You can download them, and they're manipulatable PDFs you can pull out, and they give you full rights to do that. It's on their asterisk at the bottom. But it really goes through the alphabet and some of the language that is out there, and knowing what is harmful, just like Sasha was talking about, knowing what to say. And I think the important part to remember, language is ever changing, right? So 20 years ago, when I first came out, we called each other gay and queer and you know, the F word and things like that. So, and it was acceptable. It's not acceptable today. We've evolved. We've started changing that particular language. And so when you encounter that and someone tells you that they're not feeling comfortable or that's not okay, the first thing you can always say is apologize, right? Admitting that, and then learning, committing to continuing to learn. It's always going to be an ongoing process, just like any particular topic or situation within our country that's moving forward. We have to learn and grow and evolve and be willing to do so. And if we're not willing to do so, then we're going to continue to have those particular situations that we encounter people, because one of the things I can tell you is we're here, we're queer, and we're not going anywhere. So we have to continue to be a part of the conversation. I'm going to say it several times, and be willing to be okay with those individuals out there that we're going to encounter that are not going to know, and be accepting and understanding of their willingness to learn and help them on that path, right? So I'm also going to introduce our next panelist, and he's going to share with us a little about what's going on in Arizona and some of the things they've been able to do. So with that, I give you Nathan Truitt Morales.
He's got a fan club. Good morning, everyone. My name is Nathan Truitt Morales. I'm a man in long-term recovery. What that means for me is I've not found it necessary to take a drink or drug since September 30th, 2017. I'm also a proud gay man in recovery. Married gay man in recovery. And I honestly never thought I'd ever be able to say that and actually be comfortable, especially in front of a group of large people. So I'll give you a little bit of context about my background because it kind of segues into my experience with Oxford House. I grew up in a really rural town, actually about 2.5 hours away from here, called Mardella Springs. We had about 500 people in our town. We had a stoplight, a post office, a gas station, and a school. There was 3 gay men in town, me, my brother, and the guy we both dated. It's really a true story. I think they're expanding a little bit. They got a Dollar General now, so they're moving on up. But my experience growing up in a really small rural town was more, and I don't want to get political, it's just very conservative. The way that people carry themselves, what their beliefs and values were more on the conservative side. My father being the leader of the conservatives. My dad was, for better words, he was very homophobic and very racist. I am now gay and married to a Hispanic man, so he's probably rolling over in his grave. All jokes aside, he was very accepting and loving towards the end of his life, so that was really nice to see. But growing up with that, my brother had a lot more courage than I did. He came out at a very young age. I was in the closet for many, many, many years. But I watched my dad just berate him and insult him and make fun of him. And what that instilled in me was like, you know what? Like, I'm not going to be able to be who I am. Like, I'm just going to have to keep this all tucked inside. It made me really hesitant on being able to live my true self. I eventually came out at 23 years old. This is after I have a 15-year-old son. So I came out when he was 2 years old. And at the time, it was an instant relief, like this huge weight was lifted off of my chest. Like I could finally breathe. Like all those years that I hid who I was and wore this mask and lived these kind of dual lives, I no longer had to do that anymore. So getting clean, I got clean in 2017, and I relapsed right out of treatment, and ended up calling someone I was in treatment with, and she got me an interview at my first Oxford House, and this is in Topeka, Kansas. So I don't know if there's any Kansas people out there, but there you go. Topeka, Kansas is also another kind of rural, conservative-leaning kind of town. It's the home of the Westboro Baptist Church. If you know, you know. Right. But I went to this first Oxford House interview, and I remember distinctly thinking that I'm not going to tell them I'm gay. Now, mind you, I've been out for years, many years, and I just remember thinking I'm not going to tell them I'm gay. And it was because I was fearful that if they knew I was gay, they wouldn't accept me into their house. And I didn't. I didn't tell them in my interview that I was gay. They ended up accepting me into their house. Within a week, cat was out the bag. I couldn't keep it in, you know what I mean? And to my very big surprise, my fears were irrelevant. They were very accepting. They were very loving. They were very, open and welcoming. I kind of was the life of the party in the house, But no, that my experience was really good. They wrapped me up. They pulled me into their support. They took me to meetings. They, gave me food when I first moved in and I had nothing. And I really, truly believe that experience is what helped kind of build that foundation for me in my recovery. But it's not necessarily like that all across the country. Not everyone has that great experience when coming into an Oxford House. That's one of the purposes of this panel is, discussing and having topics of conversation about this more so that we can be more inclusive, we can be more accepting, we can be more open to giving people that same experience. Okay, my bad. I thought it was beeping at me. So for me, having that experience and having that set the foundation for me, right? That's what I want to be able to to give back and teach to all the houses that I work with or anybody that'll really honestly listen, is that, when someone comes to your house and they come to interview, like our first tradition says we provide housing to the individual that wants to stop and stay stopped. There's no comma, There's no ... There's no if they're gay. There's no, like if they're a good fit for this house. It doesn't say anything like that. We already have a lot of stigma that's surrounding us, just being addicts and alcoholics in recovery. So adding that, added stigma on top of that, being a part of the LGBTQIA. Okay. I'm gonna have to run with that one. There's already that added stigma. So, as an Oxford House family, we can strive to continue to be better at being more accepting and loving and giving people the best experience that they possibly can have. I eventually got hired on with Oxford House. I moved from Kansas to Arizona. Very, very great experience. And to be able to kind of start working in a state that didn't have Oxford houses to begin with. So we were able to kind of set the foundation for inclusivity across Arizona from the very start. Our first member that we interviewed into a house was a trans individual, and she was accepted. So what we teach in Arizona is like I said before, it doesn't matter who you are. The only thing that's really a qualifier for you getting into an Oxford House is, do you want to stop and stay stop, and do you want to need support to help grow in your recovery? Yeah. Hate and discrimination have no place in any Oxford House, for sure. So more recently, within the last, I'd say, year and a half, we've actually been able to kind of open up some LGBTQIA plus friendly houses that, are inclusive. You don't have to identify in the alphabet mafia to live in this house. But we wanted to be able to open up a house that was kind of geared towards, the alphabet mafia family, to offer a place of support where you could be and come in and be supported by people who are, going through the same things that you are. That maybe understand issues that, as a gay man, was a little awkward to bring up in my very heterosexual Oxford House in Topeka, Kansas. But to giving you that level of support, so we've opened up Oxford House Elation. That was our first one in Phoenix. The next one we opened up was Oxford House Mercury, where Tayden currently resides. And it's been a really good experience, right? The feedback that we're getting from the houses is that, they feel safe, as someone who identifies in the LGBTQIA plus community. They feel safe because they feel that they can discuss their issues and kind of feel supported with people who are going through the same things that they are. We have partnered with Phoenix Pride in Phoenix. Last year, we were able to march in their Phoenix Pride Parade, which was really awesome. We gathered a bunch of members from all across the state and marched in their parade. We'll be doing it again this year. It was really cool connecting with Phoenix Pride because, like Jason said earlier, LGBTQ people, we love our substances. And a lot of it's usually centered because we went through a lot of trauma. So being able to be a valid resource for that organization and to be able to provide housing, it has been really cool connecting with them. But on the flip side of the coin, we don't have to have an LGBTQIA plus house for our houses to be inclusive. Every Oxford house needs to put their focus and energy on is just helping people. Doesn't matter what background of life you come from, like, we're just here to help people. So if you struggle in your area with, being inclusive, if you find you come across, or you're a chapter officer, you're working with houses that maybe are just a little hesitant or fearful, a lot of it's just centered around fear, and it just talk with them, educate them, let them know that as an organization, like, we are all inclusive. We are. That's the only way that we're going to be able to save as many people as we can. Outside of that, I think that's all I got. So, thanks.
Thank you, Nathan. You know, one of the other things that I think is important is that the ability for us to be able, as Oxford House outreach individuals, to make the message clear in the community of being LGBTQIA inclusive is connecting with those resources for the LGBTQIA plus families. So Lambda Centers is a great way to connect with those individuals that may be needing support. LGBTQIA plus centers, recovery-oriented systems of care, recovery centers within the community are also great ways. There are what we call gay A meetings, gay AA. There are meetings that are open to the LGBTQIA+. So my particular fellowship is 12-step, obviously. So being able to connect with those and let them know that resources are out there for individuals that may be looking for a safe place to call home. Housing is really important for individuals to be foundational in their recovery. So without a safe place to call home, individuals can't truly set the bedrock foundation for their recovery. So those are some ways that you can connect with the community to let them know options and start your process to be inclusive within your house. Please feel free to reach out to Nathan or myself and how they're doing things within Phoenix or Taden to make sure that you're connecting with the communities and ways to feel included.